Simultaneous Lesson 1, Text 2.
Directions. Interpret into Spanish.
Opening statement for the defense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long 3 weeks, hasn't it? And the prosecutor has spun us quite a tale in that time. Yes, quite a tale indeed. A tale of murderous mainland drug kingpins laundering their blood money through a willing, even an eager Puerto Rican bank. A tale of intrigue, violence, power, and sex. We've had a parade of colorful underworld witnesses with nicknames like Sniffles, Lefty, and One-Eyed Jack, testifying to the criminal activities of the notorious Leech Gang of Fort Lauderdale. We've had graphic descriptions of drug deals, gangland murders, prostitution rings, even the testimony of a participant in a snuff film. Yes, we've had ad nauseum descriptions of how the Leech Gang makes its filthy money. And we've had the testimony of the charming Miss Monica Buencabo about how that money, minus a small loan fee, passed through the Acme Bank under the loving and covetous eye of the bank's managing director, Mr. Eduardo Simms, to emerge fully cleansed and available for investment in further nefarious enterprises. We've had Miss Buencabo's account of certain parties she participated in with Mr. Simms. Parties involving illicit drug use, deviant sex acts, and criminal conspiracy, all at the insistence of the corrupt and decadent Mr. Simms. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we've had quite a lot from the prosecution over the last 3 weeks. But what we have not had, ladies and gentlemen, is one shred, one iota, one microscopic mote of evidence that the defendant, Mr. Eduardo Simms, a well-respected businessman of 30 years standing in this community, a leader in his church, a loving husband and a father, a philanthropist on a modest scale, that this man, Eduardo Simms, has committed any criminal act whatsoever. Is the Leech Gang a band of vicious, bloodthirsty, sociopathic criminals engaged in enterprises guaranteed to chill the blood of any decent, law-abiding citizen? You bet they are. The only problem is, the Leech Gang isn't on trial here. My client, Mr. Eduardo Simms, is on trial. And Mr. Eduardo Simms has never been convicted of, or charged with, or even alleged to have been involved in any of the Leech Gang's criminal money-making schemes. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, how the Leech Gang does or does not make its money has nothing whatever to do with my client. Has cash generated by the Leech Gang's operations in fact been deposited in the Acme Bank during Mr. Simms' tenure as managing director? No one denies it. By the prosecution's own accounts, those deposits were made by a long list of individuals whom no one, apart from Miss Buencabo, about whom we shall have something to say in a few minutes, can connect to Mr. Simms. Those deposits were all in amounts below the $10,000 threshold, which would have required that they be reported to the authorities, and which, I might add, would have caused them to be brought to Mr. Simms' attention. And interestingly enough, all of those deposits were handled by none other than Mr. Simms' executive assistant, Miss Monica Buencabo herself. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, I would submit to you that a bank's managing director, any bank's managing director, is not in the business of turning away perfectly legal deposits whose ultimate source he has no reason to know or even to suspect. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, did Acme Bank, under Mr. Simms' stewardship, make what proved to be unsound loans to purported real estate developers who were in fact operatives of the Leech Gang? And were those loans ultimately written off as uncollectible? Yes, to both charges, ladies and gentlemen. My client stands before you a guilty man, guilty of being a less sharp and careful businessman than the bank's shareholders might have wished, guilty of placing his trust in devious, deceitful individuals who roundly abused that trust, guilty of hoping, perhaps for too long, that his trust in his fellow men might be repaid with something other than a federal criminal indictment. And guilty too of this, ladies and gentlemen. Guilty of an innocent and fatherly affection for a lovely younger woman. A woman who deceived him, manipulated him, and used him for her own purposes. A woman who sits now in this court shamelessly as his principal accuser. What can I decently say about Miss Monica Buencabo, ladies and gentlemen? Very little. That she has testified against Mr. Simms as part of a plea bargain to save her own admittedly guilty skin is no secret. That she is a woman with a long criminal record of drug abuse, prostitution, and fraud will become clear as our case develops. That she is a plausible and presentable liar you have already seen. That she is attractive and beguiling, well, no one who has seen her in this courtroom over the last 3 weeks could deny it. Beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, I do not wish to comment on the person or character of Miss Monica Buencabo. Our case will speak volumes about her. As to the prosecution's case, if I may so dignify the amalgam of sensation, lies, and guilt by association that has been presented in this courtroom over the last 3 weeks, it is, to paraphrase Shakespeare, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. You've heard plenty of sound. The prosecutor feigns righteous fury, and I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it signifies exactly nothing, as we expect to demonstrate to your thorough satisfaction over the next few days. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
辩方开庭陈述。女士们、先生们，过去3周真是非常漫长。这个期间，检方给我们讲了一个特别精彩的故事。这个故事讲的是美国本土的毒枭跟一个乐意甚至是很积极的波多黎各银行洗钱的故事。故事充满了阴谋、暴力、权力和性交易。我们听到各色证人，包括西比蒂、左撇子、独眼杰克等，讲罗德代尔堡、里奇邦的犯罪活动。我们听到帮派谋杀、贩毒、卖淫，也甚至是一个虐杀电影参与者的作证。我们听到了里奇邦是如何赚黑心钱的，也听到了 Buencabo 这个迷人的女士，她是如何让这笔钱扣除掉一些贷款费，经过银行总监 Simms 先生的手，让钱洗干净，然后又投入到其他犯罪活动中的。我们听到这女士说，她和 Simms 参与到了某些派对中，使用非法毒品，进行变态性行为等等，这都让 Simms 先生听起来非常的堕落。我们听到检方在过去3周讲了真的是很多的故事，但是我们没有听到的却是一丝一毫、一点点的证据，没有一点证据能够证明 Simms 先生他是30多年来都是商业领袖、教堂领袖、慈爱的父亲和丈夫。我们听不到一点证据证明他犯下了一点点罪行。里奇帮是非常残酷嗜血、心理变态的帮派，让所有守法公民都会感觉到害怕。但问题在于，我们今天审判的并不是里奇帮，而是我的客户 Simms 先生。而 Simms 先生他却没有受到任何指控，甚至没有任何怀疑说他有参与里奇帮的洗钱活动。也就是说，女士们、先生们，里奇帮他赚的钱其实与我的客户当事人没有任何关系。那这个钱是不是真的存在了埃克米银行？当时 Simms 先生是银行总监呢？是的，但是检方他也说了，这个钱是很多个人存的，除却这个女士之外，他与 Simms 先生没有任何关联。这些钱的金额都是低于$10,000，不需要向当局报告。不然的话，Simms 先生肯定会注意到这些钱。有趣的是，所有这些钱都是 Simms 的执行助理 Buencabo 女士来处理的。女士们、先生们，任何银行的总监都不应该拒绝合法的存款。这些存款的最终来源，他并不应该知道，他也没有理由去怀疑。最后，女士们、先生们，艾克梅银行是不是在 Simms 做任职期间给房地产商提供贷款？但这些房地产商其实是里奇帮的成员，最后这些钱成为无法收回的贷款了呢？是的，我的当事人确实有罪，他没有银行的股东想的那么敏捷和谨慎，他误信了狡诈的人，滥用了他的信任。他信任自己的同伴，但却没有想到他们却不回报他，反而让他带来联邦刑事指控。他对一个年轻的迷人的女士有天真的父亲般的慈爱，但这个女士却利用了他。他现在无耻地坐在法庭上，成为了 Simms 先生的主要控诉人。那 Buencabo 女士，我能说些什么呢？我能说的其实很少。他作证反对 Simms 先生，是因为这是他认罪协议一部分，他要保全自己。他自己有很长的犯罪记录，滥用毒品、欺诈、卖淫。大家能够看出来，他是一个表面光鲜的骗子。他看起来很吸引人，很迷人。我想过去3周，在座的各位都已经认识到这一点。除此以外，我并不想评价他的性格和人品。我们的案子会说明。至于说到检方的指控，这其实充满了感官刺激、连坐和谎言。用莎士比亚的一句话来讲，就是充满了繁华与喧嚣，但却并无任何意义。检方所装出来的那些正义的呼喊，女士们、先生们，其实都是毫无意义，都是虚无的。我们在接下来几周会充分的证明这一点。谢谢，女士们、先生们，我发言完毕。